Hello, everyone. So welcome to the final session of the Afghan School on Internet Governance. Very thank you to NITPAA Raju, Javed Hamdard, and Imal Marjan. They don't need any further introductions from me. Everyone knows them. Everyone knows what they have done in the industry. What the purpose of this session is that we talk about the infrastructure in Afghanistan. Okay, because in the morning we had a lot of questions, different sorts of questions in terms of why the internet is so expensive, why the quality of the internet is so weak, even though it's been 15, 16 years into the democratic development of the Republic of Afghanistan, but still we see some challenges. And I would like to start with Mr. Imal Marjan, if he could tell us something. Tell us from 2002, because that's when you started. That's when we had absolutely nothing in Afghanistan. Because most of the audience that we have here are students who are, I think, 20-year-old, 22 at maximum. So they don't see the challenges that we had back then. So do you want to tell us something about where we were back then? And what sorts of the initial few projects that you worked on?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you, talking to the young IT chaps of the country. 2002 or 3, I think that was the time that we started. It's a fantastic journey. Whenever I look back the last 15 years or 16 years of the journey that I had, I always enjoy it. And the best thing about it is that it always brings me pride that we started from almost nothing and now we have very good infrastructure as compared to the countries in the region. In 2002, when I started with the government, with an organization called Afghanistan Assistance Coordination Authority, there was no internal network in the country. There was no internet in the country, apart from just a connection that you and water and one or two embassies. The government was not connected, the private sector was not connected. Families and offices and the government were connected. When we started the first network in 2003, that was to connect the first 8 government ministries to the rest of the world. And that connectivity was not only to connect them to the rest of the world, but it was the first intranet in the government which we faced, and that was in 2003, 2004. We connected 8 ministries to our micro-link. So I can claim that that was the first intranet network of the country that we put together. Now, the situation with having access to the internet by individuals or organizations at that time was almost new. Only those individuals that they were those building of those 8 ministries, they could find access to the internet. But even the individuals in those buildings, not all of them were having internet. Only ministers, deputy ministers, a few of the directors, they were having internet. And both these gentlemen, Mr. Hamdard and Zazai, they joined me later on in the AACA. And we remember that most of our friends in Kabul, they used to end up in the evening in our office. Why? Because there was no internet in Kabul City. So all of them were coming to the office, the AACA, just to use internet. Yes, there was one more thing. So that was the situation that we started. And then when I joined the Ministry of Communication at that time, there was no policy regarding internet infrastructure. There was no licensing regime. The only connectivity that we had at that time was just one VSAT setting at the Ministry of Communication telecom directorate. And there were 2 other VSATs later on we when the first company, NITPAA, when they came and they said that, okay, we want to have the ISP license, I was there working as an advisor to Mr. Stanika at that time. And Mr. Stanika asked me that, okay, you're my advisor on IT issues, so here's a company, they want to do investment, so go and give them a license. And I was kind of clueless. I said, what is a license? And how should we put a license? And what is an ISP? So then I went and talked with friends around, okay, let's put a few words that we should at least allow the company to bring in the internet, because that was the first company, and they already brought in the equipment, and the equipment was the customs. So the customs said, do you have a license for this? So what I did, I just went on the internet at that time, because Ministry of Communication was part of the GD network that we installed. So I just tried to copy and paste license document from somewhere, and then I just changed the name from a company to the NITPAA, Ministry of Communication, and said, here's the license. So we signed the first license. But the first ISP who started giving the internet license was Sirius, not NITPAA. So Sirius was already there in Kabul, because Sirius was an NGO run by the mother NGO, I forget the name of the home, but Sirius started the internet first. But NITPAA was the first license. It was not practical. The Sabah TV and others, I think it's a one NGO. So from there, the licensing and at the same time the private sector rules started in telecom when it comes to the internet. So then Sirius got a license, and then Instant Telecoms got a license, and then the whole thing started. Now we have some 65 plus ISPs in the country. Now the infrastructure, if you want to have good internet, you have to have good infrastructure. Now that was another issue back then in 2002-2003 when we started. There was no infrastructure in place. The VSAT was the only option for us to connect Afghanistan to the rest of the world to get internet. And VSAT at that time, we couldn't put a C-band VSAT connectivity, because it was very expensive and the dish was very big. So the KU that we started putting there was the Mitchell Walker famous VSAT solution at that time. We started connecting, and I remember another good friend of ours, Maria Wafa, we went out to connect the first, to put the first connection to President Karzai's office in Ireland. And I remember Wafa was on top of the roof of Ireland, and he took the Bentley Walker 1.2 meter antenna over himself to go on the roof and put the first connection, and then we connected President Karzai's laptop to that. So that was the only thing, only VSAT. And then slowly, the ISPs, they started putting together a Wi-Fi connectivity. But it was very expensive at that time. 1 AB of Bentley Walker was 5,000 USD per month. So no one could afford it at that time. Only the missions and the NGOs could afford it. And I remember when we put another antenna at the Arman FM in Toro TV, because I was kind of associated with them in those first few days. Even Arman FM and Toro TV, they were not able to afford the per month bill which was coming from Bentley Walker. So that's the history. That's where we started. And then slowly the ISPs, they could install Wi-Fi, and then the fiber optic discussion came in, and the government started to put the fiber optic, and the fiber was connected to Pakistan, and then it was connected to the Iran, and then to the Central Asia countries. When we talk about the bandwidth, what is the history of the bandwidth? The first bandwidth that we recorded was 128K, which was a connection going from a unit network to the rest of the world. So that was the first connection. Today, Afghanistan is connected with 58 ISPs. 5 GB of the internet is coming through microwave links being operated by GSM operators. And we have 2 GB of the internet still coming through VSATs by foreign missions or NGOs labs. So the country started from 128K, now we are to 58 or 60 GB of the internet. But it's growing very fast. Why it's growing very fast? There are two things happening. One, individuals like you, all the population are more prone towards using the internet because access is there, you have all these devices are affordable, at the same time the prices are coming down and accessibility is increasing. Because the 3G is one way to get you on internet, and then you can have all these companies to connect you with different DSL and Wi-Fi and point-to-point microwave links and things like that. At the same time, now internet you can afford internet for 500 apps per month. So these are the two things which is pushing the limits. It's pushing everyone a little bit. 60G is just nothing. You have to have more. Now, the fiber optic, the first fiber optic which was connected to Torkham, it was only bringing in one STM link to Afghan Telecom. So one STM is 155 MB of internet or bandwidth. So that was the first started, and then what happened in 2011, the first STM64 was connected. So we went from STM1 to STM64. And what happened in 2013, we went to 3 STM64. So 64 into 3, that was the connectivity. Now, the whole network of the fiber optic, which is available in the country, the capacity of it is 310G, which we can call it the lambda as well. Now, the network, when it comes to fiber has the nice thing about fiber is the capacity of the fiber is not being calculated by the medium itself. It's calculated as per the equipment in the two ends. So the same cable, if it's one STM, if you put more active modules on both sides, it can turn the same cable into a much more bigger bandwidth to be utilized. So from an infrastructure point of view, the existing fiber can go up to 100G as well, even more if you put more equipment on the end. But yes, the geographic coverage, that's a different story. How many of our provinces, how many of our districts, how many villages are connected or not connected. Now, one thing that about the pricing, it's good that we are connected with internet through fiber, but why the prices are not coming down? We buy internet from the next company, which is sitting outside Afghanistan border. Now, what happened in Pakistan, when we bought the first internet, we bought from BTCL, because that was the only company, that was the only private sector operator that was allowed to put fiber in Pakistan. But back in 2010-11, the regulation in Pakistan allowed more companies to put fiber. That's why the Wateen came in and Google and other came in. So when Afghan Telecom was asked to go and buy internet from Pakistan, so instead of BTCL, they had an option that they can have the quotation from Wateen and Google as well. So that created a competition in Pakistan, and that competition in Pakistan affected us as well. So when it comes to the internet governance portion, internet governance, one of the portions is the local collaboration, how the local markets in the competition help countries. So if one country wants to build the internet, it's not only them that they can do it. So the countries around, they have to be on the same level, on the same page when it comes to regulation, when it comes to policy issues, and the liberalization of the market. So the Pakistan market was liberalized, and that helped us. And automatically what happened, when we were buying the first 1 EB link from Pakistan, 1 EB we were supposed to pay them $1,300 per month to PTCL. And then suddenly with their regulation opened the market, and Wateen came in, Wateen, they offered us a $250 per month from So 1 MB and 155 MB, you were supposed to pay $1,300 for an MB at the border, but today you're paying $1,700 for 155 MB. So these are something. This is a journey that we have. What I will do is I will just take 1 more minute and also put some information on the future prospect as well, and then I'll finish.
Okay, sure.
On the future, the way the market is going, definitely there are changes happening in Iran as well and in Central Asia as well. There are the Central Asian countries, the companies and private sector in Central Asia, they're also looking at liberalization on their side. They also want to connect to the rest of the world through Afghanistan, to connect to the South Asia through Afghanistan. The regional activities are happening, and the One Belt, One Road initiative by Chinese government, that's for the sake that they want to connect China with Central Asia and all the way to Europe. So Afghanistan has been discussing this whole thing with Chinese government for the last 2-3 years. And likely we can sign the MOU just 2 weeks back to connect the Afghanistan fiber to the One Belt network of China. It is a difficult job to do because we have to go through Wuhan, which is not an easy thing to dig through. But that is there. Hopefully within the next 2 or 3 years, that network will happen. If that happens, then what happens is your network gets connected to the Chinese government, Chinese One Belt, and at the same time you get connected to the South Asia. You're connected through Iran and through Central Asia to the European networks. So when that happens, then the internet which you can buy in Europe on a commercial basis for $1, even $0.50 an MB in Europe, if you put that all the way through to Karachi, from Karachi to Torkham, it might cost it Torkham for $1. So if you take that MB from Torkham to Kabul, that would be another 2 cents or 5 cents or something like that. So you will be having an internet which will cost maybe 200 apps for MB per month landing into your office in your home. So that's the future perspective we're looking at. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marjan Saib. Let me turn on the mic first. Okay. Thank you very much, Marjan Saib. We would also like to know what are the different challenges that the private sector had in terms of the infrastructure development, not only in the capital, Kabul, because all the questions that we had in the morning, they were about the quality of the internet. So my question is that what sort of challenges, either legal challenges or technical challenges, like Marjan Saib said, Afghanistan is mostly a mountainous country. So what sort of challenges does that create, the legal and the technical, from the technical perspective, in terms of the development of the internet in Kabul and also in the provinces?
Thank you. All right, so first of all, I think we all should understand, guys are young, challenges are good for us, and it opens up a lot of possibilities and helps you think outside the box. So challenges are good, right? And you're living in, when you have lots of challenges, I expect each one of you to start coming up with solutions which are specific to the country. But as an industry, well, I'm part of a very small organization, Wasl Telecom, but the major problems that we face as an industry, I think, is really related to us being able to, one, find the right kind of talent in our organizations to run our organizations effectively. And I think you all have to play a very vital role in making sure that you fill that gap. So there's a big gap there, and I expect that you will all be interested in filling the gap very soon. But other than that, of course, the infrastructure-related challenges exist. We have problems related to, in order to deliver reliable telecom services, you should be able to run your infrastructure reliably. So if you expect that your phone is working all the time, or you have access to the internet all the time, we have to be able to run our infrastructure So having the infrastructure to support our infrastructure is critical. So having reliable power, for example, right? If you are able to get reliable power 24/7, then our infrastructure is not dependent on generators and battery banks and people running to a location to refuel the generators. So infrastructure needs to be built in order for us to deliver reliable services. But I know the government is doing a lot of great work. There's a lot of focus. There's lots of focus on renewable energy, and renewable energy prices are dropping. So all these kind of things are going to help alleviate those kind of problems.
And sorry, when you talk about infrastructure, do you mean electricity and these things?
Yeah. Oh, yes, electricity is a critical part of a telecom network. The cost, my friend here said, we will be able to start delivering internet inexpensive once the borders open up. But that's only one part of the cost, isn't it? Because the cost is you can buy internet cheaper, and it's getting cheaper and cheaper. But then you also have to take into consideration the overall cost of delivering that service to you as a subscriber, the cost of security, the cost of the infrastructure, the electricity cost. Because of lack of electricity, you have to build your own electricity generation plants, and these things cost. In other parts of the world, they are working on reducing these costs considerably, which in turn ends up translating into lower costs of telecommunication for the general population.
Thank you very much, Mr. Natyaraj. So the fact that we have gone through a lot of transition from not having any fiber optic to having these different sorts of fiber optic cables running across the country and through the borders of our neighboring countries. But then again, we used some of the latest and greatest technologies when it comes to the infrastructure, when it comes to the fiber optic cables, when it comes to the VSATs. We use the best VSATs that were available on the market. But yet again, we see the question on the quality. The quality is very bad. So my question is, if we were using the best and the latest and the greatest fiber optic cable, if we were using the best VSAT, why were we not able? Because the good thing is that we were not using any legacy system. We were not using any previous systems that we could say could create challenges in terms of quality. Because when you see the internet, there's a huge latency. Every single website that we visit, even if it's 1 Mbps, it's a lot of speed, but we are not getting that quality. What do you think, Hamza Saib, are the reasons for that failure?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to request those few friends in the way back row to come to the front, please. I hate the echo of the sound, and usually I cannot understand what is being talked about. Before I respond to your question, first of all, I want to say this is great what we are doing here, guys. Seriously. I mean, and I'll put it in perspective, appending to what Mr. Marjan said, I'll put it in perspective how long we have came. This is really great. AfSIG, Afghanistan School of Internet Governance, for us, the dinosaurs of the industry, this is a long way. And when Mr. Marjan was talking, I was reminded of the good, sweet old days of AACA and the shared lunches on the floor. And as I said, actually wanted to add the joke. I'll say it. I think it's appropriate enough. Some of our friends would come to AACA for internet, but most of them would also come there for quality toilets. Back in 2002, okay?
We didn't have enough Tashnabs over there.
So, just to put it in perspective and be appreciative of how far we have came, I would like to give it a personal touch, a personal story. I would like to share a personal story of me with you. During the Taliban era, I think it was before 2000, something like that. My dad was appointed to a UN position, WFP position, World Food Program, in Herat, Afghanistan. And we had to go there with him, of course, as his appendix. And my mom's family, my uncles, most of them used to live in Europe, in the West. So naturally, my mom is, like most of us Afghans, she's a very emotional woman. She has always been very close to her family. So usually, when we were in Pakistan, we lived as refugees in Pakistan, Kuwait for like 12 years. Usually, my mom would make a phone call at least once a month to her brothers and mother and family and everybody. When we went to Herat, naturally, that was our immediate problem of a third world or war-torn country problem. So when my mom wanted to make a phone call from Herat to Germany or to UK, it wasn't simply possible. It was not about whether we could afford it or not, whether it was available or not, whether it was available to us or not, whether it was good technology or not. It was simply not available. Okay? We couldn't make a phone call. And my dad took her a couple of times to WFP HQ to make a phone call, but then it would look very bad on him to bring your wife to a UN compound for a phone call. So they had to travel for a week by road from Herat to Kuwait, specifically to make a phone call. Okay? Just to put it in perspective, this is how far we have came. Today, since 2002 or 2003, when the first telecom license was awarded to AWCC, they had an interim agreement under the Taliban regime, but then it was officially converted into a proper license, etc. Today we have 18 to 24 million. The figure is controversial depending on who you ask. 18 to 24 million subscribers, mobile subscribers. Subscriptions. I said it's controversial depending on who you ask. We have 5 to 6 million internet users. When I say 5 to 6 million or 18 to 24 million, I want you to note this down, because this itself is a very big leap that I'm making, okay? And this is one of the problems that we have to cover. We have 60 plus ISPs, internet service providers. We have 7 telecom operators. We have 250,000 Afghans directly employed by the sector. $2 billion plus has been made in investments. Okay? Nationwide fiber optic, we have a national ring. 75 GB, Marjan Sahib said 68 GB incoming traffic to the country, and so on and so forth. These are, look, regardless of whether I'm a critical of the government, I'm a critic of the government, I'm civil society, we have to recognize these achievements. We have came a long way. But, now just to be balanced, and not be a spokesperson of the government and all the achievements in the private sector, what happened? I would like to get into the anatomy of evolution of the ICT sector. Why what happened, why what hasn't happened, what are the challenges, what needs to be done, okay? There is an anatomy, there is an evolutionary process behind this. First of all, to be very, very blunt and honest and straightforward, we were all very new to this phenomenon. I remember, it was I think 2003 or 2004. I was a young, excited, passionate guy out of college and IT and the diploma DIT course. Marjan Sahib one day asked me and he said, I think it was 2003, 2004. He said like, do you know how to configure an email in Outlook? I couldn't say no because I was reporting to him and I was the IT manager of government ministry, I said, sure, I can do it. And I remember we went to, and they were like so impressed. Even Marjan said, they were like, this guy knows IT. That was our skill set. We didn't know policy. We didn't know strategy. It was all thrown at us very, very rapidly. And for a country which was behind from the technology evolution for 3 to 4 decades, we were very, very far behind. We had to start somewhere, and infrastructure was the first requirement. So all the focus that therefore organically went to infrastructure, because as our colleague here said, without infrastructure, without adequate infrastructure, that is like the building block, the foundation. So that's why we all had to focus on infrastructure. I had personally troubleshot President Karzai's laptops and computers quite a few times. And he had a direct connection from that VSAT to his laptop. So we had to start there. But yes, were there shortcomings? Were there pitfalls? Could we do it better? Yes, absolutely. We could. Who should take most of the credit for these developments and evolution? All of us. But most importantly, I will give the credit to Afghan people, to the nation, to the public. We were so thirsty for communications, for getting connected, that we all were jumping on SIM cards. I remember I had to take a special letter from a government entity to AWCC to give me a SIM card in one of those Nokia 3310 phones for $250. Within 6 months, AWCC sold their first switch capacity. Okay? Sure. But we have missed some priorities in the sector. And now what is next? We have some level of infrastructure, but now, according to the evolutionary process, we have to move on to first services, quality services, and most importantly, content. Most of the time, my colleagues ask me how, especially developers, I have a question here. They ask me how to make IT, how to make applications relevant to Afghanistan, to work for Afghanistan. I would say there is no way you can pull a nation to come to technology. You should take technology to the nation. Unless you make technology relevant, and that is the response to the question of local content. Unless you make technology relevant to the dukandar, as Zazai says, unless you make technology relevant to the student, to the mullah, to the mechanic, to the shopkeeper, we cannot have universal access to technology. And you cannot expect every common Afghan to first learn English, be a university graduate, to then access internet. So that's why we need local content. There are some priorities. I think I'm running out of time. One specific recommendation I have to the government and the industry in the private sector. Please do not treat the sector as a very, very weakening milking cow. سکتور آیتی را به صفت یک گاو شیری استفاده نکنین که چقدر میشه از او آید به دست بیاریم و شیر به دست بیاریم تا که همین گاو آخر علاق شود. ICT is a utility sector. Make it relevant to other sectors. We can make profit in other sectors. And unless we have adequate infrastructure in all areas, from power to internet, we cannot bring international brands, we cannot bring quality added services over internet and ICT to the country. Thank you.
Okay, let's wait until this Azan finishes and then we will start. I think one of the few points that are obvious from this discussion is that there's not enough attention from the government to the ICT sector. Would you agree with that? Yes or no? Just yes and no. Because that was the kind of thing that I gathered from your discussion, is that the government, we are in this ICT sector. Let's think inclusive. We are all MCIT and ATRA all together, and the people who are in the industry. people who are in the academic and people who are using it. So there's not enough attention. Just yes and no, please.
Yes. You're putting me on a very tight spot. As the vice chancellor of an academic institution, there is no definite thing in academia.
Okay, Marjan, sir.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you. And what do you think, sir? You don't want to be political.
No. It's not political. I think there is focus for the simple reason it is generating a lot of revenue.
Yes.
So I suppose quickly, what is needed is for some of the revenue to be fed back into the industry to help the industry to flourish.
Okay, and there's another point that I have gathered from this discussion is that some of the government policies were not compatible with the licensing issues, with the foreign development investments, FDIs in the country, and these sorts of things. Do you agree to that?
Yes,
Yes?
absolutely.
Marjan, sir?
No, I don't. That's why we could attract $2.3 billion as FDI.
Okay, great.
I think it's. I'll not answer.
Okay. Okay.
That's very wise.
Okay. So aside from that, we also discussed that Afghanistan has a very rough terrain. You know, in the north and northeast, there's high mountains, rough and dry mountains, and then if you go to the west and south, there's deserts. Do you think that is also a reason that we don't have a lot of infrastructure aside from security? Let's pretend that we are a secure country.
It's a difficult terrain, and but this is not the only country which has difficult terrain. So the world is such. you play the card that you handed down. Right?
Thank you. What do you think, sir?
Yeah, we should have adapted relevant technologies. I think there is always a solution.
Yes.
It is difficult, but as our colleague said, there should have been adequate solutions.
Marjan, have you had challenges when you had to stretch a cable to Badakhshan or somewhere?
There were a number of challenges. Definitely, when it comes to go through inch by inch of the country, and our engineers got killed, they got kidnapped. We paid ransoms, not once, a number of times. The engineers from the international partners, they got killed. It was not an easy job to do. So yes, it was a difficult thing, but still, the country had, as you mentioned earlier, the latest of its technologies. But yeah, how to use the technology is a different question.
Okay, and the final point that I gathered from this discussion was that, and Natyaraj discussed that, the unavailability of electricity and the skill set in the country. But, and I think you would also agree to that, the electricity is still an issue, even in the city like Kabul, even in places like Arg, we have that problem. But skill set is another thing that we all, I think, agree on. We have a deficit of that, so that is a good thing for you guys. We don't have skill set, which means there's plenty of opportunities for you guys to do well and then come to the industry. But then again, could we have some sort of a workaround to the problems like electricity and skill set? Just briefly.
No, there is no workaround.
Okay.
It's a big challenge. The workaround is the industry is taking it upon itself to, in order to survive, to do everything it needs to do to keep the service up and running. Because the subscriber doesn't care. And they want reliable service.
Well, the fact that, Natyaraj, no offense, that the fact that you are here is the workaround. The fact that you're not an Afghan and working in Afghanistan, we need the skill set of a gentleman like you.
No, it's not that. Well, we come with experience. Right? I understand that in the morning there was a question. Why is it that we are not self-reliant in technology? Why do we need foreigners to tell us what to do? It shouldn't be looked at that way at all. It is just that the experience counts. In order for you to go to the next level, some amount of help is required. But then that's why when the skill set gap is addressed, and when you understand, in the morning I said, don't be superficial, don't just look at the surface, dig deeper. Internet has lots of layers, and you must understand every layer, and it's very open, there are lots of documentations available to understand technology, MPLS, BGP4, it is nothing, it is not black magic. It's all written there. So you need to go, spend time and learn all these things, then you won't need people like me. It's very easy to get rid of me.
We would not love to have to get rid of you. Would love to have you here and a number of international experts that we have, particularly the regional experts like Afghanistan, India, and Pakistan in particular, and Iran as well. Do you want to comment on the unavailability of skill set and electricity?
Yeah. Do we lack adequate infrastructure? Absolutely. Is there a workaround? Yes. I personally believe we haven't Afghanized technology yet. Okay? Africa has adapted to their use of technology. The rest of Asia has adapted to their use and availability of infrastructure. Afghanistan hasn't. Okay? You were talking about latest technologies, etc. Lack of infrastructure is a problem, but please let's not forget, with all due respect to my colleague from the private sector, but it's also an excuse for everyone. Security is an excuse. It is a real problem, but it's also an excuse. Power, electricity is a problem. It's also an excuse. Because all the discussions end there. And there is always a ratio of risk, okay, and profit margin. When you ask telecom operators why their prices are so high, they are telling you, their first response, they are doing business in a risk zone. So I think there is a workaround, and I think it is a problem, it's also an excuse.
Well, only comment on the skills portion. Infrastructure, whether it's telecom or it's IT or it's electricity, that is a challenge and it will continue as a challenge for a couple of years because it's not an easy job to do. It's not quick, it's not a wireless thing. You have to dig around. The skill set, yes, still it is a problem. It will continue as a problem because technology is evolving. So you have to always have new engineers equipped with new skills. And an organization like Harwan, I mean, that's a big mission again. I hate to them that they have to take care of it. But yes, there is a shift from 2003-4 when Roshan and Afghan Wireless and Tehran and Salah maintained most of their senior staff, senior engineers were all international. I mean, I remember almost 70+% of their staff was international. Only 20-30% were Afghan. But today, Natraj is there. If you ask him, there will be only 10 or 15% international. The rest, all of them are Afghans. And these are Afghans who go all the way to mountains and to all the flat grounds in Helmand, and they install all those equipment. So there is a change, but yeah, this will continue on.
Just to confirm, did you ask what we did right or what should be done right?
Both.
Both. Okay. Okay. Just very quickly, please.
Since Mr. Marjan has answered that part, if I could flip the question.
Okay.
What in your opinion did you do wrong?
Right.
We should not have done.
Right. No offense, just my personal opinion. We shouldn't have commercialized the sector too much as we did. We should have dealt with the sector as a utility sector, as an enabler for other sectors, not a revenue generation source only, and the sector to be evaluated only on those merits, number one. Number two, I always bring it up in my conversations with friends like Marjan and everybody else. Why don't we have an internet exchange? We have moved to digital television. Okay? Number three, local content, quality of service, better regulations and monitoring, and most importantly, the level playing field for everybody. I will completely agree with Marjan Sahib. The privatization of Afghan Telecom and the independence of Hatra, which I hope it's happening. It's a little controversial, but it will happen, hopefully. These are the things, yeah, that I hope will happen.
Any more questions? Yeah, yes.
I just can be concerned with this.
Okay.
The private and government sectors, they have a competition like these days. As we know, due to corruption, looks like that government don't want to take the place of private, we can say, sector. Like we can say the fiber optic, fiber optic service. Even it's not active in Azad River, which is very secure place and which is very near water. One. And another thing, it was about monitoring. As a one, we suspicious about everything, and we think if we gave license for 3G, like 3G is working in Laman, but it's not working. Is it how to be sure that the license they got, they are providing? Because we are not confident on our government, or we can say, monitoring bodies.
Okay, so I think the question is that how do we ensure that the companies, private companies, and the Afghan Telecom, when they are, or other telecom companies, when they say we are providing 3G services, do they actually provide 3G services?
با دلیل جواب میتونم این سوالا که بسیار مرتبط شود. یکی از مشکلات همی است معیار در سکتور کمیت شده. معیار ما غلط است، کیفیت نیست. رقابت بین فراماننده‌های خدمات کمیت است. The dominant market power is decided by how many subscriptions or subscribers do you have, not by what level of quality of service you provide. کمیتی است تمام چیزای ما. با اساس کیفیت پیش نرفتیم. نظارت دقیق صورت نمیگیره. این مثال چندین بار ما گفتیم، ما دازای سه مرجانس سرش شوخی هم کردیم. فرض کنین اگر در خانه شما یک پایپ به اندازه 8 اینچ قطرش باشه و در اون پایپ آبی که جریان داره نیم اینچ باشه، هیچ مهم نیست که قطر پایپ چقدر است. در افغانستان 3G تکنولوژی است، خدمات نیست. 3G تعریف مشخصش تکنولوژی و خدمات است. شما اگر 4G آمیال دولت، ما فکر میکنم یک اشتباه خود بود که دولت طرف 4G بره. 4G بتن 5G بتن یک دلیل برای اخفال مشترک پیدا میشه که ما 4G هستیم.
But his question is that is there a body that regulates it, governs it?
It should have been ATRA and TRB in the early days, but the thing is, unfortunately, for the consistency of leadership in other priority programs to be implemented, I think ATRA organically needed to be initially, I'm sorry, I don't want to say this, but initially it should have been established within MCIT to create the regulatory capacity. But now I think it's long overdue that ATRA should act as a completely independent body and actually regulate and protect consumer rights and consumer quality. You want to add something?
No, I'd like to take a shot
Please,
at it.
please.
Sorry, yeah. So, from a quality of service perspective, ATRA is very active. So, you as a user must participate in the process. ATRA audits us every quarter.
Natraj is saying that because he knows we are live streaming and Natraj is watching.
No, I didn't know we were live streaming, so it is true that ATRA has a process, and we all submit our reports. They go out every quarter, do tests randomly, different parts of the country, and they come back and they fine us. But at the same time, it is important that subscribers, you, your families, whoever, your friends who are outside of Kabul, you should also participate in the process. The ATRA website is open. You should actually report problems.
Yes.
The more problems you report, the more it is possible for ATRA with the limited resources. You understand?
True.
ATRA has limited resources. So with your help, they will be able to regulate and make sure that you are actually getting the quality of service you deserve.
True. Yeah, that is an excellent point, because last time when we were meeting for this particular event with the ATRA leadership, and that is exactly the same thing that they mentioned, is that a lot of people don't know that we exist. A lot of people don't know that ATRA is the body which regulates the internet, the voice of the telecom sector. So one thing is that we tell other people that this is the organization that we need to contact if there's a quality problem. Did you get that?
Yes. So basically, If you guys, if us, if Afghans, if the nation, if we want the quality to improve, we have to do it 3 ways or 4 ways or 5 ways, not just leave it to the goodwill of the private sector in the government. Okay? This is the thing. We have to come together, we have to establish these communities, these forums like this, and we have to tell the government, the private sector, that we are educated about our rights. We are educated about quality of service. We are educated about comparative analysis. Okay? Why there isn't a consumer protection body in Afghanistan? Because the consumers are not aware of their rights. ATRA will do its due diligence, but the consumers protection body should push it. If the subscribers, I'm very glad that we have 7 operators. Now we have the freedom to switch. I hope to see mobile number portability being made available. So if a subscriber doesn't give you good quality service, with a text message you can change your number to a different subscriber.
Okay, we'll take one more question and then we'll allow. Okay, we'll take 2 questions. Yeah, you go ahead, please. And then Aziza. Yeah, that's it. I'll make sure.
I have a question from Mr. Ramadan. As you mentioned that we have we get a service from the country, from neighbor countries. So, like, for example, they're admin and we're the user. So, what do you think about the security of internet that they provide for us? So, is it secure enough according to security, according to the economy, according to everything, like as you know the circumstances right now between these 2 countries? So, what do you think about this?
Security, when it comes to your data security, there are 2 layers of that. One, your service provider has to make it secure. Second, you yourself have to secure it. Now, when it comes to the fiber optic, yes, fiber optic, we were buying the bandwidth from the BTC and WT in the last 5 to 6 years. But then, in 2013, Afghan Telecom, they bought their own equipment to secure the communication from Total up to Karachi. But that doesn't make you secure. You have to have your own software or hardware. If you are having a network within your university, you have to also put the next layer of security as well to that. So it's not only the responsibility of your service provider, but at the same time it's the responsibility of the network operator and the last thing is the user.
Yeah, but actually the main source is their hands, because the internet we don't take from them. So how
If they start putting security filters there, then the next day you will be making a complaint that they are filtering your internet. So it's a valid thing.
Aziz Saib, and then.
Thank you very much. Azizi from NITPAA and Kalman. That's quite a fruitful discussion, and I'm seeing it for the first time that everything is coming up, and thank you, all of you. The first question, Dr. Raju, you had CDMA. One Telecom had CDMA, and the question was password went wrong. I think that was the wrong decision when One Telecom was operating on CDMA. Now you're operating that. In a GSM environment, where are you? Wasn't Telecom. At the same time, what is 4G for us? Mr. Mardan, that you know that we are not still using 3G properly, as Mr. Hamdan said, that it's used as a technology, not as a service, and yes, we have problems with that. So where are we going with the 4G now, and how do you analyze this decision? And coming to the partner, I think, I'm sorry, I disagree with you, Hamdan said, we have invited them.
To the what, sir?
For partner, you said that they are very helpful and all those things. No, I don't agree with that. They should have been here today with us to answer this question.
They are coming. They are coming tomorrow, inshallah.
I agree. They should have been here.
They are coming.
Again, I think that's legal excuse, or we can say legal thing that happened, but still, any representative from the ministries should have been here with us to answer it. So this kind of disencouragement, I think, is very bad for the sectors and for people like us who want to know something and who want to collaborate. So,
well, for now, just as a sarcastic joke, for now you can use Mr. Marjan as a scapegoat. Okay? He has been in the government for a long time.
You want to go first?
Yeah, 4G, the decision which came from the government, I was there last year when the decision very long argument with Mr. Salat. That is the joke. We're not ready for it. The sector is not ready for it. We don't want to just allow private sector to sell their services labeled with 4G, and then people pay for services labeled 4G but not 4G. At the same time, government should not make the announcement just to get Mr. Nagaraj to pay $130 million. Why? Because I'll give you a 4G license. So the decision came as a very quick decision, and it took 3 days to make a decision. When we were doing the decision, it took us 1.5 years to do a full survey. The market is ready, people are ready, we have content, where the internet coming from. So it's a very bad decision, and I think the private sector is happy for it, but they're still working around with AfSIG, but what does it mean, the 4G license?
You got that question?
Yes, so between, you said about CDMA and GSM, to a very select few, that makes sense. But to the majority, it doesn't matter what the technology is. Yeah, all that matters is quality at the right price.
Exactly.
Whether I choose to deploy CDMA or LTE or HSTPA, whatever it is, it shouldn't matter to you as an end user. You get the right price, the market forces will finally determine whether it is right for them or not. Right? So ultimately, in the global market space, CDMA in its original form is losing sheen. However, the 3G that you're so happy with is CDMA technology. It's wideband CDMA, right? So ultimately, like I said, that doesn't matter. All that matters to you is, are you getting the right price? Is the quality good? So I think that's basically what it is.
Can I just, 2 sentences? In response to our friend about security, you should understand that security, online security, is a relative term, okay? And there is a very, very fine balance between security and censorship. Bandwidth cannot be secure. Service should be secure. Okay, you cannot secure bandwidth. It's just traffic. Traffic cannot, you make roads and proper rules and regulations, number 1. And number 2, one of in response to Al-Nur said, one of the things that we missed and we should immediately start working on, which responds also to security and privacy issues, is information classification. تصنیف معلومات. ما تا بالای مملکت نمی‌فهمیم که چی محرم است، چی خصوصی است، چی عامه است و چی دولتی است. That's one of the major requirements for inking the blurring boundaries of security and privacy. Data classification, information classification. Thank you.
Okay. Well, question. Okay, I thought you were the organizer. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm one of the organizers, so because I have no responsibility, but when I wasn't in whole discussion, but what I noticed Hamdan was telling more complaints. For example, we don't have quality, we don't have the development tools that we should have, and I want to just ask both three brothers, man who knows more about technology and IT. I have just 2 questions. For example, when you're complaining, if we go back, during the last decade we had a rapid improvement in IT technology. That's completely sure. For example, if you go to 5 years back, then it's not comparable with now. And what are the 5 or 6 solutions that will be applicable in Afghanistan by now circumstances? So I want to ask firstly Mr. Hamdan, and then Mr. Marjan can answer this question. What are the most important solutions that can be applicable right now?
Got it, thank you. One of the things that we need to understand is benchmarking. What you are benchmarking with is the time. And what we are trying to benchmark with the neighboring countries and the technologies that we use. Are we in a good place right now in 2017? Yes, looking back, yeah, we are a lot better, but are we better than Pakistan? Are we better than Iran? Are we better than in Rwanda? Are we better than Kosovo? That is the, I'm not asking for yes or no. I'm saying that is the question we should take home. Please.
Yeah. This is another thing that we Afghans should learn and adapt to. I understand the comparison. I did the comparison for you. I put it in perspective. We came from a situation where we had to travel for a week to make a phone call. But why is that the comparison point? Why always we compare historically ourselves to the dark Taliban era or the Civil War era? Why is that the benchmark? Why can't we ask the best of everything? Okay? Why is not the comparison? Why is internet so inexpensive in Pakistan, in India, and not here in Afghanistan? And yes, there are challenges that should be answered and taken into account, but the benchmark, we had what is called the evolution roller coaster. We had a big jump in infrastructure and everything, and now the learning curve and adaptability to service and content, we are stuck somewhere in history. I'm saying the benchmarks should change. The priorities should change. In 2002, the priority was infrastructure. I agree, I worked for it. In 2017, the priority should be service, content, privacy, security, price, and quality.
The solutions, there are a number of things happening. One, opening up the sector, I think that happened with open access policy, but another thing is that open access policy has to be really implemented with real needs. That's one solution, because that will make all the players actually provide services, so you will not be prisoners of only one company or one service. Second, the independence of the regulation. That was something that another mentioned that was supposed to happen a couple of years back, but it's happening now. So that was the second thing, the solution, so that there will be a much more fair regulation, not affected by ministry, leadership, or the parliament. There are a lot of nations out there, a lot of politics happening. The third thing is, you get Afghan Telecom out of this monopoly thing. So that is going to happen because the new policy is there. Now, the next level is that we have to think about services as another mission. But how service can come is not only coming from the sector, not coming from the individual, but the government has to actually adopt and endorse this thing that yes, we are now the next level. The problem with the government is they are still thinking that we're in the infrastructure era. If you go back to the NCIT, the individuals sitting there, they are still thinking as infrastructure engineers. They don't come out of that balloon that they should not be thinking anymore about infrastructure. They should take the next step. So that is one big challenge we have to overcome.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. And I want to thank all of you for coming and participating in events like this. But I also want to thank Mr. Imal Marjan for sharing his 15 years of public service experiences with us. That is, I think, what we have achieved today. We have a private sector here, government perspective was here, and also technical community was here. They were taking questions from civil society. And that is, I think, the biggest achievement that we have had today. Thank you very much, and I hope we can continue this tomorrow. Tomorrow we are starting 8:30? 8:30, so please be here at 8:30. Thank you very much.
Production, an innovative media production house.